just dropped my kids off to school, so I'm sitting in the car.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, what we're gonna do is because I know it's 9 a.m. where you are, correct?
It
Okay.
is, yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So we are just gonna go ahead and get started. So, hi everyone. My name is Danielle Nicole, and I am the founder of Tiny Hearts Remember Inc. nonprofit organization. Our mission is to decrease the negative impact of pregnancy and infant loss through support programs, education, advocacy. One of our programs that we have is our Tiny Heart Share program, where we allow angel mamas like myself to come on the platform and just share your story about your experience along with words of wisdom. So today, finally, we have our special guest, Georgia. Now, do you go by Georgia or Georgie?
I've always been Georgia, but long story, my nickname has always been Georgie. I'm Georgia, but Georgie is where I'm back at now. So
Okay, perfect. So we have special guest Georgia. And first, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then if you can go into how you became an angel mama.
yeah. So I am a mama of 5. I say 5 because even though I've got 4 Earthside babies, one's in heaven, and it's always that awkward conversation, isn't it? I run my own publishing company, publishing in PR. So my background is in PR, and I spent 20 years or so in the marketing and PR industry, and recently, in the last year, have started my own company. My my journey to motherhood was I had my 3 beautiful boys, and I always knew that I had a little girl out there and that I knew her soul, and I had dreamt of her, and I knew her name and everything. And so this was the first daughter the first granddaughter in our families, and very, very excited to meet this beautiful little girl. And we arrived at hospital in very active labor. I was 40 weeks exactly, 40 plus 1, I think. And I sensed this. I'm very intuitive, so I'm an intuitive guide, and been on the spiritual path for a long time. And the only thing that I had no clues, nothing was wrong. It was a beautiful pregnancy. On the way to hospital, I was in like the labor had progressed very, very quickly, and I just had this sense of impending doom, and I couldn't the thought that she wasn't going to arrive was beyond, like I couldn't think, that hadn't even occurred to me because that doesn't happen. But there was just this sense of something big, dark, like a big dark cloud was hanging over me. And we arrived, and eventually were taken into the consult room. I was labouring basically on the floor in the the waiting area, and so they did all of the checks, and I was still very much in my zone. I was labouring, I think 10 seconds apart between contractions, and then a doctor came in with a scanner because they obviously couldn't find anything on the Doppler, and that's when they eventually said, look, she's gone. And I was in the throes of labour, and my whole world stopped, obviously, and I just had this sense of calm come through me, like this really loud voice, which I now know as God, just said everything's actually going to be okay. And I went on to deliver this beautiful, perfect angel, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with her except for some asphyxiation marks all over her body. And it turns out that the placenta had just pulled away at the last minute. So it's called distal villi maturity. The villi on the placenta wall had pulled away. She wasn't even a huge baby compared to my others, so it shouldn't have happened. It's one of those things that shouldn't cause fetal demise, but it did, and I believe that there was a higher purpose for all of it. So she has taken me on a completely different. I have a completely different perspective. She's opened my heart, my mind, my world. I believe one of my taglines was finding magic in the tragic and finding grace in grief. Until recently, when I realized that because I had that belief, I was always looking for tragedy to attach to the magic. And then I realized that actually life is just magic. If we happen to experience tragedy, then we can find and seek the magic in it, but we don't have to experience grief and trauma and tragedy to experience the plethora of magic and pleasure. And yeah, so that's a little bit about me and my story. So yeah, hi to everyone who I've seen a couple of my friends jump on and I was just
Yes,
talking. So
yes, yes, yes. First, I would like to say I am sorry for your loss and thank you for sharing those details with us. And I know you said throughout the whole pregnancy, everything was going well. And then all of a sudden at the bitter end, that great moment that we all wait for, the tragedy had. So I did write that down, the finding magic in the tragic. I've never heard that before. And I definitely think that's a different perspective to look at when we are going through a difficult situation like this. So throughout this experience, from the time that you lost the baby until after that aftercare, what did that experience look like for you in regards to supports, from your personal family and friends, and then also from the healthcare providers? Were they able to follow up with you, or was it more of, you know, you lost the baby and then you just didn't hear from them? What did that recovery process look like for you?
yeah, I'm glad you're asking that because there is such a big gap in the needs and the support, and that's why partly why I co-founded Angel Mama House is because I didn't receive the support that I knew that I needed on a spiritual level. It's like there's a physical level. I didn't even get the physical level, to be honest. I had a 6-week phone call with the midwife, or a week later the midwife called and I wasn't home, so that was it. Like there was no follow-up. And that was through the public system in Australia, so it's a bit different. We have public and private, and I went private with my rainbow baby because of that. Um, and so yeah, there was no follow up, not even with my GP. I don't believe they didn't. Like you're in the space of you can't think about what you need.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what you need, and so I didn't think about the 6-week checkup. I just like you don't think about it, and so but there was no follow up from my GP. I don't recall. And as far as family and friends, I lost about 90% of my circles. There was people that were there immediately for the funeral and for the first bits, but then and there was a handful of people who stayed by me and who still stuck by me and who are still like my inner circle. But there was a lot of people who just, I don't know whether it was because they couldn't handle it, um,
Mm-hmm.
who just walked away,
Mm-hmm.
including like best friends from when I was a child, best friends who just didn't didn't pick up the phone or didn't even answer the phone when I was calling. And I realized that it was very, very hurtful. There was hurtful comments even said from my kids' schools. There was
Wow.
other mothers who knew what had happened and who would no one said anything to me. They'd seen me walk up to school every day with a big pregnant belly, and not one woman, who, apart from the ones who really knew me very well, came up and said, "I'm so sorry." Like they'd all heard, because you could see I'd walk in and there'd be like whispers behind my back, but no one came and confronted me and said, "I'm sorry." Like all it takes is, "I'm sorry. I don't have the words. I don't know what you're going through, but I'm sorry and I'm here if you need a hug."
Mm-hmm.
It's simple things that people can do that I know now that I didn't get because I look back and I've had so much time to reflect.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like the lack of, and now also I realize that it was the universe plucking people out of my life that I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have had the courage um, to do myself. So and now I know, like I'm very discerning with people who come into my life, and I usually know within a few minutes whether there's going to be someone who, because I'm very deeply connected, and so I I know now what it takes and what I need in my life. But back then I didn't, and so it's almost like the universe did it for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the hard part of the journey in general is the setting those boundaries with people that we're close knit with, and them not truly understanding how we're not the same person that we were before this experience happened, and them not checking in or them just not being present. It definitely affects us. Like you said, something simple as I don't know what to say, but them still showing that encouragement. So with you bringing that up, what type of boundaries did you have to specifically set, or how were you able to make boundaries, if you were able to make boundaries, just for the angel mamas that are watching that may be struggling with setting those boundaries?
Yeah, so I think it comes down to not being, like, putting your needs first. And if you're already a mother, or have since become a mother, it's really hard, because we come last in a lot of the circumstances with people. So there's this, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, the grief circle, where you and your partner and your immediate, like, circle is the core, and then it should be your extended family and your very closest friends, and then it should be outside of that, it should be like your acquaintances, and it's the support should always come inwards. So at the core is us, and we support ourselves, and we know what. And then our extended family, they support us. And then if they need support, they should not come to us for support. They should seek it outside of them, and so the circles get bigger. And so for me, I learnt to know what I needed, and to ask for it, because a lot of the time, and that wasn't something that came naturally for me, and I struggled with in the first year or two of what I actually needed and wanted. And if I've had to block people from social media, even in my closest family, I've had to, if they don't like what I'm sharing, because I've always shared my journey, I've always been very open about it, and if people don't like what I'm sharing, then I've actually had to block, like, people who are close to me, so that they aren't triggered, or I don't feel like I have to, dull down.
Oh, yeah.
In order not to trigger. So I think the thing is to just know what, like, really dig into what you want, and it's not about being, like, nasty or unkind. It's just with love, sharing what you need, and with love and kindness, and having that set boundary of this is what I love and need, and anything outside of that is released with love. So for example, if you don't want to, so if there's, like, baby showers and there's things like that, then you would, if you don't feel comfortable, then it would just be a conversation of, I'm really happy for you, but I can't be in that space right now, and I hope you understand that I can't come to a baby shower, or like babies' parties, or circumstances or situations that just feel totally uncomfortable. Then you just say no, but with love, and you don't even need to explain it, really. It's just I'm not in the space for that right now. I'm not available for that right now. I'm really sorry, but I love you anyway. So I think it's just a matter of really going deeper into what you want, and not putting up with things that you probably would have before, and just being discerning about the people that you allow into your space, and because the last thing you need is to manage other people's emotions and the other people's energy. Like, it's hard enough to manage your own energy at the time. So that's what I've learned, I think, is the biggest key, is being super discerning about who I allow into my space, and if they're not uplifting or, contributing towards what I want to build in my life, then it's just a no. So yeah, I hope that helps.
Yes, no, I think that definitely helps. I know, especially with, like, attending baby showers and those type of things, because sometimes people will take that as jealousy, and it's like, no, I'm not jealous. I don't want your baby. That's weird. I want my own baby. I want my own baby. So it is one of those situations, like you said, it's like, I'm happy for you, but I just can't. Because then if you do go and then you are triggered, then now the attention is on you, and it's not about you. It's about that mom to be at that moment, and you don't want to take that away from them. So I definitely think that's something that people who have not gone through what we've gone through do not understand, and they think that it's jealousy when it is not. So I really do appreciate you running through the different ways to be able to set the boundaries, because it's important, because some people have shared that they will continue to attend those type of events and put themselves through that because they don't want to make that person upset. And
Yeah.
like you just said, you have to learn how to put yourself first after this experience. And you mentioned um marketing, and you mentioned on social media, and you having to block people, and you also have a background in marketing, from what you said in your intro as well. So, and I know this is off script, this is a question that just popped in my head. What do you think those in the marketing world, if they do have that same passion that you have of spreading awareness about pregnancy and infant loss, how can we use marketing in a positive direction to spread that awareness so that other women like us can feel not alone?
I think the biggest thing is to not be afraid to use your voice. I think a lot of women want to share their experience and um, or write. You know, I've written in a lot of books, and that's what I do is I publish books, and I have a lot of kind of authors come to me who've experienced. Whenever I say I'm going to do a book on Angel Mama experience, I get a flood of people going, yes, 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 and I've just not felt it's the right time yet. But I know that there's a lot of women out there who want to share their story and share their voice. So I think it's about not being afraid and sharing it from the space of not wanting to heal anyone, not wanting to save anyone, just sharing it for your own, like literally for your own therapy, your own healing, and to know that there's some kind of there's a legacy that has been left through their baby. So when for any writer or anyone who wants to share their story, whether it's in a magazine or whether it's as a PR exercise or whether it's in a book or whether it's just sharing online in their own social media and building up their own social media, I would just say to not be afraid to use your voice and to not pretend that you're speaking to the masses, because you won't be, especially with our story. A lot of people want to shut their eyes and close the door and turn the other way. They don't want to hear what our experience is, because it's really confronting and it's uncomfortable for most people. So it's not about like you sharing to change someone's opinion or to make them see. It's just sharing from your own perspective and your own vantage point and your own heart, so that you can get out, because it's almost like a somatic experience as well, like a trauma, a healing experience, because I have a background in trauma release and embodiment and intuition and guidance and stuff. It's trauma release and a therapy to actually write it out. Whether you never share it with anyone, whether it's just for yourself or whether you are sharing to the masses, it's actually a therapeutic experience to just be releasing that story and that trauma from your body. So, and that doesn't really answer the marketing side of things, but I guess in the biggest piece in marketing, in all of marketing, is storytelling.
Storytelling, yes.
People want to be connected. People want to be connected to a story that we can kind of see through all of the big marketing ploys and the advertisements. But when you're sharing a story and you have something connected to that you want to sell, or a product or a service, most people, it's all about sacred storytelling and sharing your experience, whether that is through loss of a baby or whether it's through climbing Mount Everest. It's your lived experience is what people connect to. So that's probably what I'd say.
I agree. I definitely think you being able to take that time to share when you are ready, that is when you truly make an impact. I know when I first originally shared my story, it was on social media for the first time. And when I shared, I had phone calls, text messages, people in my Facebook messages, just letting me know, yes, they're sorry for my loss, but also they experienced it as well. So not really realizing how common it was, and then how close it hit home. Also
Yeah,
with that,
it is too common.
yeah, very, very,
Far too
very,
common.
very common. And then, like you mentioned, sometimes it happens to one, or when it happens to them, and they do try to brush it under the rug and not really talk about it. So then it's people like us who have to be the voice and kind of keep our babies alive and keep their babies alive and be that strength for them until they are ready to share, whether it's with someone else, because they don't have to share publicly either if they're not ready. Can you go into a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
exactly.
about your book and your publishing company and then the books that you have?
Yeah, so I have been an author in a number of books. My latest one that I published was Extraordinary in December. It became an international bestseller, and at the moment I'm enrolling people into a program called Vibe, which is Visionary Integrated Book Experience. And so it's not been done before. It's very unique. But basically, I recognize that there's so many leaders out there, conscious leaders, who want to write books, and they're time short. So this is kind of like a shortcut process where for 30 days we get clear on the vision and your mission, your movement that you're plugged into, and then we integrate that with content that you've already created, whether that's on your social media, because a lot of people, like, if you look back over a year, you've written a book at least on social media if you're an
Yeah,
active,
that's true. Oh
yeah.
yeah.
So we look back at that and extract, even if it's a course that you've done, we extract that and, whatever's synonymous with the theme and the message of the book, and then we turn it into like the bones of your outline of a book. And then I'll also look at the energetics of becoming an author, because there's one thing to say you want to become an author, but actually doing it, stepping over that line and becoming a best-selling author it's a whole other level. Um, so yeah, that's what Vibe is. And at the end of that 30 days, we have the outline content, and we have like the transcripts that are ready then to hand over to my team. And that's my magic, is the tweaking and extracting the juice and making it a fully functioning manuscript that we then take into the publishing process and publish. So it's a lot quicker than, I guess. We're not looking at memoirs. It's like self-help books that can be taken from authors. So yeah, it's exciting. We've got some
Yes.
epic women in there already. So yeah.
Yes. No, yes. I know where to go to when I finish my rough draft of mine. Yes.
Definitely. We've all got a book in us. We all do. And I think in the next few years, if we don't have some kind of published work,
Mhm.
it's going to be like not having a social media presence. And it's for me, it's like there's so many people doing such amazing soul transformational work, and to a lot of people in the world, it's not accessible.
Yeah.
You might not have thousands of dollars to spend on a course with this coach, but you could pick up a book for $20 and still have some kind of transformation. And when you're ready, then it can be the click to change your life and then take you on a different path. I know books change lives. I know so many books
Yes,
I've read
that's
that
true.
have
That's true.
changed
I
my
love to
life.
read. I love
Yeah,
to read those self-help books, the ones setting boundaries and all of those meditating books. Like I love to read those books. So you're definitely accurate.
yeah.
Accurate. That's exciting though. That's very
Yeah.
exciting. Yes.
And I know that my angel is shining, like lighting the way for me. So, as you know, and yeah, it's just leaning into what we're here to do, like
Mhm.
to leave a legacy for
Yeah.
them. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And with that, you saying that and leaving this legacy, can you share a few ways, if you have any right now, how you keep your angel baby alive?
Well, she's with us. Like, even my daughter, who I've had since after Amelia, she knows her sister. Even though she was born afterwards, she knows her sister. We talk about her daily. I have, well, like within our immediate family,
Mhm.
my kids talk about her more than I do. Like they every day they include her in, um, like our sister Amelia, whatever, that's a sign from Amelia. The clouds might look like angels today, so we're like, oh, it's Amelia telling us this, or um, I had a really, I can't even think, because there's so many examples that she's just with us all the time. It's just a different realm, and so I never feel like I've lost her.
Yeah.
I feel like she's there
Very.
everywhere,
Yeah.
because she is. She has the ability to be with me and my children, even if we're not in the same place. And so keeping her, I don't feel like I have to keep her alive. The thing that I had to realize was that, me not doing what I need to do, or me grieving her, was keeping her stuck to me, whereas she has other things to do.
Yeah.
and and so the legacy, I don't feel like I need to keep her legacy alive anymore. It's more of, um, because she just is. It just is. And so we have a photo of her. Like, I have a photo of all of my children on kind of like the main cupboard and the mantelpiece, and then I have a little shrine for her in my room. But I just, every now and then, like, I talk to her most days, and I have always done that. From the minute before she was even born, I felt her spirit in the room. And I talk to her, and I know this is like, not everyone believes in everyone's got their own beliefs, but this is my belief, and my truth is that she's with us, and that I talk to her every day, and I hear her talk back to me. It's not a one-way conversation. And but I don't feel the need to grasp onto her, if that makes sense. Like, she's just there, and if I need to talk to her, I will. Like, it's not like I set a time every day where I need to connect with her. It's just because that feels limiting, and that feels contracting, and for me it's just, she's just there, and I know that, and that's expansive to me. So yeah.
And then do you
Yeah.
spell her name Amelia?
Yeah.
Amelia. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about Angel Mama House? The Angel Mama
Yeah.
House?
So we launched Angel Mama House in October last year, and we launched just a membership to start with, which is just a simple 12 module, one module a month, where they've got a module to go through, and we release another extra meditation, and we will bring in a couple of experts this year. It's just a really, um, sort of starting point, and at this point, both Melaine and I are focusing on our own kind of ventures and businesses, and both of us feel like it's there, and we will continue to add resources, but there's going to be a point where it booms, and it's about the timing and the orchestration of that, and neither of us are, like, worried or focused, or it's almost like it's got its own lifeline and own lifetime, and it will become known when it's meant to.
Yeah.
It's already known. We had so many people share it and talk about it when we first launched, and then we launched the membership, and now it's just kind of sitting there waiting for the right time to kind of be global. So, and at the moment we're both focused on our own. I'm publishing, and she's a coach in the human design world. So, yeah. So that's Angel Mama House, and it's kind of just sitting there doing its thing, waiting to
Cool.
take on a life of its own.
Cool. So how
Yeah.
can women get involved with that? To be a part
So
of it?
just visit angelmamahouse.com is the website. We're on Instagram as well. So yeah, there's a few little resources. There's the membership on there that they can access. So yeah, easy peasy, angelmamahouse.com.
Perfect. And before we wrap up, I always like to ask my guests to share just words of wisdom. So what words of wisdom do you have for people who have never experienced pregnancy and infant loss? And then words of wisdom for other angel mamas like ourselves who have experienced pregnancy and infant loss?
I think it's hard for and I think you'd probably agree, no one can really understand it unless you've actually been through it. So the one thing that it's a, even if you can't even contemplate it, you can't comprehend it. Don't say to a mother who's experienced it, "Oh, I'm so like I understand what you're going through because I lost my uncle last year, or I lost my parent last year, or
Yeah.
my best friend died." It's a different kind of grief.
Yeah.
It is against the natural order of things. So please don't say I understand. Just say I can't possibly understand, and I'm sorry if I'm sorry if there's anything I can do. If it's someone who's really, really close to you and you're looking for practical ways, I would do the practical things. So I would turn up with a meal, even if they don't want to invite you in. I would turn up with a meal. I would turn up with a fruit and vegetable box. That was probably the best thing I got, was someone had delivered to us like a fruit and vegetable box, or, like something practical, not flowers, because flowers just sit on the table and die. Their flowers are beautiful, but when you've got a whole table full of them, then it's not practical. So meals, taking if they've got other kids, like taking them out for a play, saying, can I come around and take your kids for a play? Or if they're not comfortable with that, like, can I bring you a coffee? Do you want to go for a walk? And if not, that's totally fine. I'm just putting the offer out there, because they might not know what they want. So just practical things are really helpful, as well as just saying, I don't know what you need, but I'm here. I'm here anyway, and checking in on them like weekly, monthly, 3 monthly, like just on that date is really nice. If you can remember the date, and for at least the first 6 months, just send a text message and say, I'm thinking of you, or just, even if you don't hear back from them, it's not a sign of, oh, they don't like me, or it's just that they might not have the capacity to even reply. So but keep showing up and showing them that you love them. I think that's the thing that most people think they're going to intrude, and so they don't want to bother you. But just getting the messages just to show that you care is, we might not think it at the time, but we look back and go, oh, they're my people who looked after me at the time. And so for a mother who is experiencing it, I would want you to know that it's possible not only to survive, but to thrive.
Yeah.
It is so possible to live a beautiful life after loss, and a loss of this magnitude. In fact, it is even more important that you do, I think. Like, we have this vast perspective. I've always said that angel mums have this vaster perspective that others don't get the privilege of getting, where, because our hearts have been stretched all the way to heaven, we can feel the gamut of human emotions in between here and there, and we have this perspective that not many people have the privilege of experiencing that kind of level of and depths of emotion. And so the depths that we feel pain, we can also feel pleasure. And
well, thank you so much, Georgia, for just coming on here and sharing your story. Here at Tiny Hearts Remember, we will always remember Amelia with you as you continue to live and live on her legacy. And before we go, the last thing, if you can just share how people can get in contact with you, just in case they want to follow you or reach out to you, if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, for sure. Georgie M. Hansen is on Instagram, and also gmhouse.media is my publishing company, and then Angel Mama House is our Angel Mama House on Instagram. And I'm all over Instagram. I'm on Facebook. My website is currently being refurbished, but gm-house.com/vibe is if you're interested in vibe. So yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm so glad that we were able to meet.
Finally.
I know it's early on your end of the world. Everybody, if you were not able to tune in, Georgia is tuning in with us from Australia, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. So I will make sure I put all of the contact information and tag your pages so that people can definitely reach out to you. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.